According to Adrian Peterson's agent, Ben Dogra, the Minnesota Vikings will not release Peterson, leaving his return to the team up in the air. Dogra said he was informed of the Vikings' decision by General Manager Rick Spielman over a phone conversation Wednesday. He also made the following statement to Fox Sports. It was really important for me to relay the position the Vikings are taking to Adrian. I want to make sure there's absolutely no confusion whatsoever. Not too many options here then, Skip. Where will APB at this APB or Adrian Peterson land at the start of the season?
Stephen A., my heart still says Dallas. My head says Minnesota. Obviously, the Vikings still own his rights for the next 3 years. He's under contract. And I do not blame them for publicly suggesting they will hang on to him. Not sure we can take that completely to the bank, but Adrian next year will go to the bank to the tune of $13 million if he is a Minnesota Viking. They owe him $15 million for the next year and $16 million for the third year from now. It's a lot of money for a running back as he enters his 30s. Didn't play last year, as we all know, for the last 15 games, so legs should be pretty fresh. We also know that the last time we heard from Adrian about this issue, sounded like bridges got burned. Adrian thought there were those in the Vikings hierarchy who said one thing to him with a smiling face and did quite another thing, very duplicitous, turned on him during the ordeal that he went through. So are the bridges burned or not? We also know that back in the summertime before a Cowboy exhibition game at Jerry World, Jerry got a phone call from Adrian Peterson via the cell phone of a friend in the owner's box who handed the phone to Jerry. Oh, hello?
What was that?
And according to our Don Van Natta, Adrian said, I would love to be a Dallas Cowboy. And we all know Adrian grew up in the state of Texas in a little town called Palestine, not too far from Dallas, lifelong Cowboy fan. So would he love to end his career in Dallas? Yes. Would I love to see him with my Dallas Cowboys? Yes, 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 I would. Is it feasible? Now I hear last night from our capologist that the addition of Greg Hardy could make that very difficult to then squeeze Adrian under the cap. But I'm assuming if Adrian did get released, if he sort of, let me put it this way, talked his way eventually out of Minnesota, where they finally said, his heart's not in it, we just have to give up on him, you're free to go wherever you want to go. I'm assuming Dallas would then have to try to renegotiate and get Adrian at a price that they could squeeze under what's left of their salary cap. I'm not going to rule it out, Stephen A., but again, my head would say, given the fact he could make $13 million next year in Minnesota, I'm going to guess, unfortunately, he'll be a Viking.
I think the Minnesota Vikings would have been absolute fools to cut him. As far as I'm concerned, if Adrian Peterson wants to complain, let him. And I don't say that with any trying to be derogatory or insulting to him in any way. It's unfortunate the situation that he got himself in. There's no question that when we saw the slash marks on a 4-year-old child, we thought at least that particular act was abuse. When you say abusive, then you have to have evidence of a continuous behavior, whatever. But there's no question in my mind that that was excessive, that was abuse. With that being said, it was a mistake he acknowledged in defense of himself. It's something that he assured the American public and beyond would never happen again, and you move forward. This stuff about folks being two-faced and everything else, here's where my disappointment in Adrian Peterson comes full throttle. Who in God's name told you it would be different anywhere else you went? I'm sorry, a couple of people smile in your face and they do one thing and then they talk behind your back, and you know they're talking about you, Adrian Peterson, a football player, and then they find that you're arrested on child abuse charges. Well, that's going to raise eyebrows. That's going to make people take a step back. That's going to give them cause to pause and then look at you in an uncomfortable light. And yes, it's going to make them get into your personal business of what you were doing, who you were doing it with, what your family structure is like. It's none of their business, just like it's none of our business. But it's not going to stop people who think they had an idea about who you were and what you stood for to all of a sudden revisit those things and question themselves and you about what they thought of you. That's anywhere. And I understand it's a cause to be upset and to be a bit turned off by it. I get all of that. But when you sit there and act, and I'm not saying we've seen Adrian Peterson directly doing this. These are the reports that we're hearing. We still don't know. Haven't seen Adrian Peterson do an interview. But based on what we've heard, you're sitting back and complaining about this and saying that you love your players, you love Zimmer and the new coaching staff, you love the fans in Minnesota, but you got a problem with a few people within the organization that smiled in your face and talked behind your back? What in God's name led you to believe that that's going to be different anywhere else that you go? You trying to tell me that no, I would challenge anybody, challenge any player that tells me that he liked and respected and trusted every single member of an organization he played for. I would venture to say you couldn't find 1% of the NFL population that could vouch for every single soul that they worked with and for in a respective organization that they were on.
Okay.
So the complaints that he has, that's anywhere.
Okay.
It's anywhere. And I think he needs to get over it.
Is it possible he exaggerated those problems he was having with people in Minnesota because he wants to end his career running behind the Dallas Cowboys offensive line?
Wait a minute. That's very possible, but Skip, then that would make him even more wrong, because how he's going about doing it is at the expense of other people's character and integrity, if what you're implying is correct. I don't know that to be true, but we do have to leave ourselves open for the possibility. And to me, there's absolutely positively nothing wrong with Adrian Peterson saying, I've been through a lot, and I just think a new environment, a new setting would be better for me, as opposed to pointing the finger at an organization and saying that they were duplicitous and they were a bit shady, being a bit two-faced and smiling in your face, talking behind your back. I'm sorry, Skip, but with all due respect, I expect to experience that every day.
Okay, I get that.
I don't see why anybody else shouldn't. I think you should expect to experience it. I think Kerry should expect to experience it. I think Adrian Peterson, I think LaShawn McCoy, I think Chip Kelly, I think Bill Belichick should expect. Everybody gets that. Nobody's immune to that.
Okay, I get it. But he did provide some details with one of the Vikings executives in question, where he really thought that bridge got burned. And you got to respect the fact that he feels in his heart, it came across that way, that bridge is way burned.
Well, but what I'm saying is, but you're saying in the same breath that the bridge is burned, but you love your teammates and the coaches and the fans.
He does,
well, guess what? Just don't talk to that guy. Just don't talk to him. Stay away from him.
Yeah, compartmentalize is what
I'm saying, well, what does that have to compartmentalize?
Yeah.
Compartmentalize. You talk. Listen. If the criteria is to get along and trust everybody that you work with, most of us would be unemployed.
Well,
because it doesn't happen.
You know what I think?
It doesn't happen.
Oh, okay.
You know, I think you, Stephen A. Smith, just don't want to see Adrian Peterson running behind that Cowboy offensive line. I think that's the bottom line to this conversation.
I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
You know what, Skip? I think you might be wrong there, because remember, I'm alluding to the Dallas Cowboys possibly going to the Super Bowl.
No,
you might have me wrong in that one, buddy.
Completely off
We'll
that.
find out come NFL season. We'll find out come NFL
left
season.
them in the dust.
Oh, boy. All right.
Yeah.
$36 million, according to roster management systems. Adrian Peterson's $36 million of guaranteed money.
Wow.
The most of any current running back under contract. Let's leave it there. When we come back, what's more popular? Think about this, folks. What's more popular than Aaron Rodgers in Wisconsin?
I know.
No, you don't. Do you? Okay, they don't know. Think about it, guys. Google it.
It's something
Let us know.
I won't eat.
You won't eat that. I love it, though. We'll be right back.